Throughout history, the stories of Maya women have often been left in the shadows, yet their influence has shaped generations. These hidden queens were healers, leaders, and visionaries, defying the odds in a world dominated by tradition and conflict. Their wisdom guided communities through upheaval, their voices kindled resistance, and their courage safeguarded sacred knowledge. Today, their legacy endures, inspiring new generations to reclaim their power and celebrate the enduring spirit of Maya women. In the summer of 1952, Mexican archaeologist Alberto Ruz Luillier descended into the heart of Palenque's Temple of Inscriptions, where he made a discovery that would shatter everything historians thought they knew about ancient Maya civilization. Deep within the jade-adorned sarcophagus lay not just any ruler, but Kinich Janab Pakal Way, and surrounding him were inscriptions that spoke of something extraordinary: the women who had shaped his dynasty. What Ruz had stumbled upon was evidence of a civilization where women didn't just exist in the shadows of men. They ruled empires, commanded armies, and fundamentally altered the course of Mesoamerican history. For decades, the Western archaeological establishment had painted Maya society with the familiar brush of patriarchal assumptions. Kings ruled, men fought, women bore children. But as scholars learned to read the intricate Maya script and decode the stories carved in stone, a revolutionary truth emerged. Maya women wielded power in ways that would make their European contemporaries pale with envy. The throne behind the throne. Lady Six Sky Huachanil Ajao of Naranjo stands as perhaps the most compelling example of female Maya power. Rising to prominence in the 7th century CE, she didn't simply rule as regent for a son or husband, she conquered. Her reign lasted over 6 decades, during which she led military campaigns that expanded Naranjo's territory and influence throughout the Petén region. Stela inscriptions describe her Star War victories with the same martial terminology reserved for the greatest male rulers, challenging our fundamental assumptions about gender roles in ancient warfare. But Lady Six Sky was no anomaly. At Palenque, Lady Ol Nal ruled as regent and played a crucial role in legitimizing her son Pakal's claim to the throne. The famous sarcophagus lid that captivated Ruz depicts Pakal's rebirth not through paternal lineage, but through the world tree that connects him to his maternal ancestors, a revolutionary departure from typical patrilineal succession narratives. The Maya concept of complementary dualism meant that power itself was understood as inherently both masculine and feminine. Unlike European feudal systems where women's authority was always derivative, Maya cosmology recognized that creation and destruction, life and death, required both male and female principles working in dynamic tension. The sacred and the political Maya women's influence extended far beyond the throne room into the realm of the sacred, where temporal and spiritual power intersected in profound ways. The role of Ixchel, female shamans and priestesses, placed women at the heart of Maya religious and political life. These weren't merely ceremonial positions, they were conduits of divine authority that legitimated political decisions and military campaigns. Archaeological evidence from sites like Yaxchilan reveals women performing bloodletting rituals not as passive participants, but as primary actors in ceremonies that connected earthly rulers to cosmic forces. Lady Kabal Zuk, depicted in the famous lintels of Yaxchilan, is shown drawing a thorned rope through her tongue, a ritual so sacred and politically significant that it was literally carved in stone for posterity. The Maya understanding of cyclical time meant that women's biological cycles were seen as cosmically significant. Rather than being excluded from power during menstruation, Maya women were often considered especially connected to the underworld and ancestral spirits during these periods. This cosmological framework created space for female authority that was inconceivable in contemporary civilizations. Warriors and diplomats. Here's where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. Recent archaeological discoveries have revealed that Maya women weren't just spiritual and political leaders. They were military strategists and international diplomats whose influence shaped the geopolitical landscape of Mesoamerica. The excavation of Tomb 1 at El Peru Huaca in Guatemala stunned archaeologists when they uncovered the burial of a woman warrior, complete with jade battle regalia and obsidian weapons. This wasn't symbolic. Isotope analysis of her remains revealed injuries consistent with actual combat. She was literally a battle-scarred veteran who had earned her place in the royal necropolis through martial prowess. Even more fascinating are the diplomatic marriages that created vast networks of alliance and influence across Maya city-states. Women like Lady of Tikal, who married into Copan's royal family, didn't simply seal treaties, they actively shaped them. Hieroglyphic inscriptions reveal these women maintained correspondence with their birth families, creating intelligence networks that spanned hundreds of miles and influenced military and economic decisions across the Maya world. The marriage of Lady Ik Skull to the ruler of Yaxchilan created a diplomatic revolution that realigned power throughout the Usumacinta region. Her children were raised with dual loyalties and eventually ruled territories that served as bridges between formerly hostile city-states. Through marriage, Maya women created the ancient world's most sophisticated diplomatic networks, the economic powerhouses. Beyond politics and warfare, Maya women controlled economic networks that would make modern CEOs envious. The famous murals of Calakmul reveal women overseeing vast trading expeditions, managing tribute collection, and controlling the production of luxury goods that were essential to Maya elite culture. Cacao production, literally the source of money in Maya society, was frequently under female control. The goddess Ixcacao was specifically associated with women's economic power, and archaeological evidence suggests that many cacao plantations were owned and operated by elite women. This wasn't simply agricultural management. Cacao was the fundamental currency of Mesoamerican trade, meaning these women controlled monetary policy in ways that modern central bankers would recognize. The textile industry, which produced the elaborate huipils and ceremonial garments that signified status throughout Maya society, was dominated by women's cooperatives that operated across city-state boundaries. These weren't cottage industries. They were sophisticated manufacturing networks that employed hundreds of workers and generated enormous wealth. The revolutionary legacy. What makes Maya women's power so extraordinary isn't simply that they wielded it, but how they fundamentally reimagined what power could look like. Unlike their contemporaries in Europe, Asia, or even other Mesoamerican civilizations, Maya women created systems of authority that were both martial and maternal, spiritual and practical, individual and collective. The collapse of classic Maya civilization around 900 CE wasn't caused by the failure of these systems. It was partially caused by their success. The complex networks of alliance, trade, and spiritual authority that women had created became so interconnected that environmental stress in one region could cascade throughout the entire Maya world. The very sophistication of their political and economic systems made them vulnerable to systemic collapse. Echoes in modern history. As we stand in the shadow of ancient pyramids and decode the stories carved in stone, the voices of Maya women speak across centuries with urgent relevance. They remind us that human societies have experimented with radically different arrangements of power and authority, and that many of our assumptions about natural gender roles are simply the accidents of particular historical moments. The next time you visit a museum and see a Maya artifact, remember that you're not just looking at the remnants of a lost civilization. You're encountering evidence of a society that solved problems we're still struggling with. How to balance individual ambition with collective responsibility, how to integrate spiritual and temporal authority, and how to create systems of power that harness rather than suppress human diversity. The Maya women who ruled kingdoms, led armies, and shaped the destiny of millions weren't anomalies in human history. They were pioneers of possibilities we're still learning to imagine. Their legacy isn't carved only in stone. It lives in every society brave enough to question the limitations we place on human potential.